it has taken less than 3 years, but you've created like what's arguably one of the most successful rom-com trilogies of all time. This is like the Matrix of YA love stories. How do you look back at this journey? Like, was it set in stone that you guys were going to do 3 movies no matter what, or did you have to wait to see like how audiences responded to them first?
All the time. I'm constantly shocked. Like the fact that the third movie is coming out is like, I just feel so grateful because when we made the first movie, we made it as an independent film.
Mhm.
So we didn't know if, there would be any distribution, let alone if people would respond to it or even watch it. Um, and then Netflix picked it up and that was the major win for us. And then all of a sudden people it was received well. And then we got a second and a third. But contractually, we were not,
You didn't know.
we just had one. We obviously were hopeful for two and three because we know that it's a trilogy by Jenny Han, like it's a novel, but that wasn't a guarantee. So when we got two and three, that was just like, wow, man, I was so surprised and so happy. And then now for the third film, we shot in all over the world. So
Mhm.
like the first movie, we had like three sets: the high school, the diner, and the house. And in the third film, we worked in Korea, we worked in New York, we worked in Canada. So it just to this day, I'm like mind blown how much it's grown because
Mhm.
I just wasn't expecting it.
Said you were a baby when we did that build series interview. I mean, how would you say that you've grown like as a person and a performer like in over the course of this series?
I can't like I've grown so much. I mean, I think when we did the build series, like I'm not sure the movie maybe had just come out or maybe it was right before. I remember that there was more book fans than movie fans at the event.
Mhm.
But as an actress, I have learned so much. It is my first lead, and it's also my first lead doing a franchise of three films. So, it's always stressful because everyone's like, well, nothing's ever going to be as good as the first one. It's a lot of pressure to make sure that I show up and hopefully try and make it better every single time. But I've learned to conserve my energy because when you step onto the set, the energy that you bring sets the tone for the day for everyone else. And that's something I had to learn because I was just fully just giving. Like literally, I was trying to do it all. And then, one day you wake up and you're like, I have literally nothing left for myself. So I learned to reserve my energy and to take care of myself so that I can perform. Um, I've learned just a lot of technical things about like cameras and lighting. You know, I've learned so much. The actress I was before is like all so different than now.
I mean, this had to be like wrapping up a TV show, doing 3 movies over that sort of that long period of time. How bittersweet was it to wrap up? I gotta imagine last days on set were emotional.
Yeah, they were the worst ever. They were the worst ever. Let's be honest. Like, it's just hard because it's even now. Like, as I'm talking to you, like, I mean, it's taken up, years of my life, and I've put so much into it, and I love the world, and I love the character, and I have grown alongside of Lara Jean while playing her. So it feels like saying goodbye to, a piece of myself, a part of my life that I've lived. Like when we finish the movies, now then we start press, and then we do it all over again. So even when we wrap, it's like my life is to all the boys all the time. So now that it's finished, there's a line in the movie, and it says, "I didn't know that I could feel this sad and this happy at the same time."
Mhm.
Because I am really happy with the way that we ended it. I'm happy with Laura Jean, and going out and wanting to live in New York City alone. That takes a very specific type of person to do that. And so I'm very proud of her. Like, I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of her choosing herself, you know, and choosing what's good for her. So I'm happy with the way we ended it, but I'm sad because, you know, it's this project means the world to me.
I mean, you guys can always like before sunset, sunrise it, you know, come back like every 8 years, you know, just check in on these
Right. Well,
characters.
now that the reboot is just truly taking over, you know, never say never. But I am excited for the new projects to come and to lend my voice in a different way. And also, I'm much older than Lara Jean is, so it'll be nice to kind of maybe play a character that is a little bit more my age.
Well, I mean, like part of Laura Jean's struggle in this one comes like when she doesn't get into Stanford, like her top choice for college initially anyway, right? As actors, even very successful ones, you guys constantly have to deal with missing out on jobs that you really want. Like, has there been one like that for you that got away that like was especially tough to get over?
Yeah. But I will say, like, there's a couple, but I will say that if I had gotten those, I would have never been able to do Tall the Boys. So I think everything does happen for a reason. Like, I was like down to the last two or down to the last three, um, for Star Wars, for, I forget her character's name. Um,
Rose Tico, the
is
Kelly,
that her name? I think so.
the Kelly role.
Yeah, she's Kelly Marie Tran, but I forget her character name. Anyway, so she got it. It makes so much more sense for her to play it. But I wouldn't have gotten Tall Boys if I had gotten that. There was the show that literally told me I had the part, and I was so excited, and I was like getting ready, and then they recast me last minute with someone else. That was heartbreaking, and it's very hard not to think that it's because of you and not because of something else. Like, it's very hard not to be like, oh, it's because I suck. But again, if I had done that show, I would have never been able to do Tall Boys. So, you know, I think every time if the door closes, it stinks, but I do believe that something better will come along.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. That's amazing. I mean, you know the actors are constantly getting this close to these things, and opportunities come and they pass. But like that's I wasn't expecting Star Wars because that's obviously the top of the mountain. But you know, it's so reassuring that you found your own trilogy in happiness.
I mean, I read with John Boyega, like I did all the reads and the chemistry reads and all of the like director stuff and everything, and it was just, that one was brutal just because it's Star Wars.
Right, of course. But what resulted was this trilogy that has meant so much to people, and this is a great segue because we've seen comments from so many fans, especially a lot of young female Asian Americans, who say, you've helped them, you've made them feel seen on screen. What has that sort of feedback meant to you when it comes to that representation and that visibility?
It's the best part of my job. It's the reason I feel like it's my mission to keep telling stories that make people feel seen and less alone, and represented. It's the most rewarding part of doing these films. And there was this one time, like, we were in Brazil and we were doing the press tour for the sequel, and we were in Brazil and we were doing this big panel, and there was like thousands of people there, and we were on stage, Noah and I, and it was like deafening. The noise was deafening, and I couldn't hear a single, like, I was just so overwhelmed. It was like, wow, I can't believe all these people watched my movie. And then I saw this girl in the kind of the front of the crowd, and she had this little handwritten letter, a little note that she was holding up, and it just said, "You saved my life." And that moment, like, I will never, ever forget. Like, all the noise went away, and all I saw was her. And I realized that if these movies just saved one person's life, like, that's it. I've done it. My career, that's it. Like, I'm just so happy and proud of that. So it's quite an overwhelming experience. but I get to meet a lot of cool people that share their stories with me because of how they felt seen. So that's awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful. That is beautiful. And you and Noah have made such a great on-screen couple throughout the course of this trilogy. What's been sort of the evolution of your friendship behind the scenes?
In real life, I mean, we've always gotten along really, really well. And I think that's from the start. We've had great chemistry and a great relationship. So I'm happy that it lasted all 3 years because I was like, let's just keep holding on. There's one more to go. But the way that our relationship has, changed and developed is it hasn't changed much. It's the change is the visibility, but the way we interact with each other has never changed. I'm, forever grateful that I have a partner that was along for the ride, this wild ride that is hard to verbalize. Someone that we can talk about and be each other's confidant. But I'm saying bye to Peter, but I'm not saying bye to Noah. And I think I'm interested to see how our relationship grows or changes after these films because we've spent like literally 3 years together, like every day, all day long, or we're talking about each other, or we're, doing all these things together. So now it'll be interesting to see how we grow and how our own friendship grows without the core of it being surrounding this film. So that'll be interesting.
And like I said, you can always do it again in 8 years, reunion, the before sunrise reunion. Lana, I love talking to you. It's always so good to see you. It's also good to catch up with you. And thanks for all the stuff you shared today. It was great.
Thank you. I always look forward to talking with you. It's like the highlight of my days. I'm like, oh, I know. You just wait. It's going to be great.